Badagry is infamous for being one of the major African slave ports, alongside the Ouidah slave ports in modern-day Benin Republic. Millions of Africans
Is he gonna walk? Walk like 20 to 25 minutes to the beach. We have the slave ship. That's all it is. Though it's not as if they're going to lose their memory. Because if they should lose their memory, why are you taking them away as slave? They'll be useless. The water is just to calm them down for 3 to 4 months, so that they'll have a safe trip, because they used to revolt on the slave ship. So they'll have a safe trip to Europe or America. But ironically, some say the well water is still effective up to date. Some say it's not effective. But we don't know how true this is, because we never see a single soul volunteer. Okay, let me take this over. See if I'm going to lose my memory. Or
you found one today.
Then from there, they will now move them to 2 pools called Ark of the Faction, where they will pass under, they will watch them before they will sail them down to Europe or America. So those are the sites that we have in Madam. So, like me, I introduce myself as a cornerstone. If I should ask you to tell me where I come from, it will be a little bit difficult, because that name is not our. Somebody gave me Chimoke, right? Like Oluwa called me. Somebody gave me Yoruba name. Who is that? You, Oluwa. Now, you are a Yoruba woman. You are not a woman. You are a Yoruba woman. I got to know that through your name. Some gave me English, Christian, and other names. I'm not saying anything wrong with those names we give our children. You see, we Africans, we have our own name. Like now, if I tell you guys that my name is Kofi, can somebody tell you where I come from?
Ghana.
Our names is just like a Google map that somebody can tell you where you are coming. Now, most of the African Americans, they used to pay a visit. When it comes around the way they do, while we are taking it, suddenly their mode will change and you see them drop it here, right where you guys are standing. What made them to drop here simply because they knew that they were Africans. Where do they really come from? Africa is the root, but the roots, the tree have the branches. Everybody have its own villages, that you understand. So that's what made them try. And they're this saying, if you want to destroy a man, you take away his name. The European, the American, or the French, or the Young, whatever call they say, destroy we Africa, especially our brother and sister that they passed away as a slave. Now, who is a slave? A slave is someone's property or someone under bondage. Slaves have no name. Slaves bear their master's slaves, and slaves don't go to school. Now, the first slave trade began by the Arabs. Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, Tunisia that you see today, were owned by the blacks. We call them the Kud, the Ham, the Kemites. Now, or the Nubians. Now, today we get to Egypt. It was so sad that it was a white Arab ruling Egypt today. What happened to the Aborigines, those black that owned the land? In the 7th century, the Arabs invaded Egypt. They killed all our brothers and sisters there. they gave them Islam. We call their own slave trade transatlantic slave trade, which lasted for 17th century. Now, in the 14th to 15th century, the Portuguese came with the transatlantic slave trade by a man called Prince Henry, the navigator of Portugal. And within that 400 years, they took away 25 to 30 million Africans. But later, the English also joined the trade. The name of the first slave ship named Jesus of Lubeck, or Good Ship Jesus, owned by King Henriette of England. Queen Elizabeth I rented to one Jos Hawkins, and they said taking African away as a slave. Now, all slaves taken from this compound were taken to different parts of the world. Some, like most of the Igbo slaves taken along Calabar, Bonipo, through all, they threw them to Georgia. There's an island in Georgia named St. Simon in the Dover Creek, where over 75 of the Igbo slaves said there can never be a slave in another man's land. What they did, they killed their masters, 75 of them, in one accord, they walked into the ocean, they drowned themselves. They called the place Igbo landed up today in Georgia. But the slave people of this compound were Yoruba already taken to Brazil. That's why we call the compound Brazilian BARRACOON. And if you get to Brazil today, you see the culture and tradition of the Yorubas over there up to date. And BARRACOON means cell, dungeon, or storehouse where the slaves were being kept. And we have 40 barracoons in this compound. But out of the 40 rooms, we'll be privileged to see two men of the family of this man that they come back. This is the cenotaph of the man. If you get right to run like here, you see his statue there. He was the co-founder of the 19. When he was at the age of 6, during the Abass, a bottle of whiskey go for 10 human beings as a slave. We have the empty bottle, 1870 from Vienna, Austria, inside the museum. A ceramic bowl go for 10 human beings as a. Now, what made me so sad sometimes is that all the product that they used to produce ceramic bowl, if you get down to another part of Africa, you see the product. The Europeans will take it down to their own country. They refine it, they still bring it back here to collect our own people as a slave. That's why we call it triangular slave trade. Mirror and bead, I can say 10 slaves, my sister can say 2, you can say 10, you can say 20. We call it bargain power. It depends how you can bargain and negotiate with them based on mirror. When he became the Seriki Muslim Badagry, when they want to turban means, you know those Muslim clothes, they put big clothes on their head. Brazilian gave him this as a gift. And the kettle was given to him by the Europeans. They are doing the trade with him. Now, this one are called cannon gun. Cannon gun were used to fight war. Then the longer one go for 100 slaves, the smaller are 40 slaves. A den gun go for 40 human beings as a slave. Now, the question is this: we Africans or black men, what do we do with the guns and the cannon? We use it to fight at each other, so to get more slaves to sell to the Europeans. We sold ourselves into slavery, and it's still happening up till date. Now, we are about going to see the 2 rooms out of the 40 rooms, 38 rooms. We have been occupied by his family that were living in the compound today. And the 2 entrance doors are the since the 40s when this one have been established. Now, let's see the 2 rooms. That's what we have in there.
Sources vary on the first slave trading voyage from Africa, but most scholars agree it occurred sometime in the early 1500s. But a turning point was when Charles I of Spain directed Spanish ships to directly transport enslaved people from Africa to territories in the Americas. To my American friends, slavery didn't begin in 1619. It was merely another turning point. Slavery in Badagry, Nigeria lasted for centuries, only until a group of Badagry residents led by Chief MOBEE campaigned for the trade's abolishment in 1852. Keep the name MOBEE in mind, it will become more relevant soon. Brazil, Central and North America were famous destinations of Badagry slave traders. Slavery was later abolished on paper, but continued unofficially until at least 1886. Some reports suggest it continued in Badagry until after the First World War. It's not surprised that millions of black people in the Western Hemisphere can trace their roots back to modern-day West and Central Africa. Slavery was multidimensional and manifested in different forms. That makes it hard to pinpoint when the first slaves were traded and agree on when the last transatlantic slave gained freedom. I believe it lasted until around the Second World War. It's poetic that the Nigerian government decided to build a prison next door. Seriki Abass would have loved that.
You can put on the torchlight of your phone if you want to see clearly more than what you are seeing now. Now, in there, we are still coming here. It's called dark room. This is where they kept 40 of them. We are still going there. But here, is called inspection room, because their aims and objectives, they were going to work where they take them to. So they want a very healthy slave. Any slave above 50 are called old slave, or any 6 slaves are called bankrupt. They don't want such a slave. And this is a picture of the man. I'll send it to you outside. I showed that he had education, and we made a photocopy of his handwriting. When he sold a piece, a piece of land to some cutter of 16 pounds in the year 12 to 1916, and this is him over here. This umbrella that this slave boys was carrying on the head of Seriki Abass here. This is the surviving umbrella for 40 enslaved Africans. And the umbrella was made of wood, bronze, cane, and iron, and it's so heavy. And as heavy as it is, just a guy constantly have to carry firm on the head of the master. If the umbrella mistakenly dropped from the hand of the slave to the head of the master, the penalty could be death, because slaves were property. They will beheaded the slave instantly. Now, the same umbrella we are showing the former vice president of Nigeria, Yemi Oshiba, 6 years ago, when Yemi paid a courtesy visit to the museum. And if you look at that picture, you see when Oni of Ife was here, Oluwo of Iwo, that picture there, that man in a trust to that king of Iwo when he came. And this one is called coggling yoke. They use this to yoke 2 slaves together. They put the first one at the ankle of the first slave, the second, they put their padlock here to join 2 of them together. And this thing was made of metal. It will always put wounds together around their ankles. Who cares? Because they were slaves, they still put it on their wounded legs. Now, this one is called weight. And this chain, if you look at the chain, can you guys see that it's going, it's wearing out? That shows that this chain then is heavier than what you are seeing today. It's still heavy. Any slave that is stubborn, as you can see in the picture, this men, they were slaves. They will tie it around the waist, they lock it at the back. So because it's heavy, so after some time, it will calm the slave down, so that he will be less aggressive, fight another slave, or those who know purchase. Yoruba call these pox akpotish and magic pox. We didn't know how many slaves that were used to collect this ancient pox. But this is where Seriki Abass, the man that owned the compound, kept most of his documents. Now, this item number 7, what's your name again, sir? David. Now, if I'm David's slave, my name should be David, because slave have no name. They put this inside the fire to write David on my chest or at my back. We call it brandy. Because slave kept in the compound, we are owned by different owners. For identification, you have to brand the slave with red hot iron. They also use it on there's some slaves called fugitives. Who are the fugitives? They are the runaway slave. Today you run, tomorrow you run, the master will say to bring the slave. They put it, if you look at the iron, it has a very sharp teeth. Now they put it in between the big two down around here. Once they drill it down, they force it open, there'll be tears here. Or they use a cutlass, they chop off one of the toes of the runaway slave. If you have watched a movie titled The Road by Ali Sadi, the guy African was Kunta Kinte. Similar to happened to the guy in the movie. Now look at this chain here, and the one at your back were used to kill the slave. Later when we enter the second room, I'll be telling you how they do the lynching with this chain, and then I'll be telling the company that produces these chains that were used on our forefather as a slave then. And this one standing, there's what we call chariot or cart, C-A-R-T. That's in horse normally owned by this man called Seriki Abass. Now from the inspection room where they will fed them, we are now moving in to see the dark. So how could they put 40 human beings inside this choke room without all this thing? But what I saw in Togo is a very wide compound. Underneath the compound, the building, there's a dungeon of 5 feet like this. So there's a hole. The entrance is just like this hole here. So if they have to crawl in there into the big apartment, like 100 in there, another hole this side, they will crawl in another 100. So what I foresee is that, you know, when as a human, if you are not allowed to stand up, because 5 feet, that's it, they'll be sitting, squatting, or sleeping. And if you have nose, you still be passing odor of human being up to there as I'm talking. So I started dropping to that, how could they put human in this kind of condition? And it's imagine how many human because they will have died here. That's the main reason when people come here. I said that you guys are not here to die. You feel the pain. If you look at the body of that bottle, you see it is really customized on the body. The bottle is from Vienna, outside the human being. That round thing, we call it record. Yeah, 10. The guy will give you a bottle of whiskey, to give you 10 on it. That round thing is called record, but today we do it and CD, and the gift given to him by the Brazilian and the European friend when he became the Seriki This plate, this is one of the ancient plates, go for 10.
Think about it. How did Caucasians go deep into the African hinterlands to capture slaves? They never did. Slave traders lived fast lives because the voyages were filled with dangers, including dangerous waters, diseases, STDs, and much more. To date, when many non-Africans plan to visit the continent, they take a plethora of medical shots to get their body ready for the trip. Most of the wars we learned about in school were slave wars. Africans went to war with each other with the sole aim of capturing each other as slaves. The last few weeks have been eye-opening because I never knew that major wars between empires like the Oyo and Dahomey in West Africa were slave wars. Caucasian slave traders weren't equipped to capture slaves beyond coastal towns. Without the help of black Africans, the transatlantic slave trade will have been much less successful and fizzled out earlier than it did. Seriki Williams Abass started life as a slave. He was relatively favored by his owners, learned to read and write, and when he earned or was granted his freedom, he continued to contribute to the unfortunate practices that made him a slave. Despicable. Every single one of them, without a doubt. Forty people. These are the issues.
Like dogs, we call them killer's dog. And the dog will eat them to the bowl. We call them killer's dog. And slaves that refuse accepting the master's religion or name must die on a stake. Like that film called The Roots. Some of you that watched
Kunta
Kinte. The guy African name was Kunta Kinte. They want to give him Toby. The guy said, no, I'm not Toby. They tied him on a stake and struck. But when he realized that these people want to kill him, with the help of others, they said, please take this name for you to survive. The young man accepted the name. But that guy did something wonderfully that I really love. The guy never gave up. He has a daughter called Kissy. Kissy has a guy called Chicken George. They were passing that name Kunta Kinte from one generation to other. And it was the 7th generation of Alessali traced their root of United.
Yes.
And based on that, what happened, every August 23rd was set aside by UNESCO as a day of the remembrance of the slave trade and its abolition. Based on what happened in Haiti, when the slaves killed their masters, they got their independence. But after many years back, the French were the one that enslaved. I had to came back to them that
you guys are money.
You gotta pay us money. We call it reparation. And those black people say they got no money to pay them. They say borrow from us, later you'll be paying. As I'm talking,
they're still paying it.
It's one of the poorest countries because they are still paying, even though most of the colony along the French colony, even though Nigeria is still paying the British up till then. And to me, it's like a slap. I put somebody embedded in my life. We didn't invite them. You took me as a slave, and I'm still paying this up. So I don't know why we're still paying them. Now, these are some of the children of Seriki Williams Abass. Now look at that small window. Also give another benefit of 40 enslaved Africans. Now let's go straight down. Let's see the last place in the campus.
Seriki Williams Abass was an awful individual. I hope he is currently inhabiting the deepest parts of hell. Is everything wrong with our people? It's crazy to know that the very ground I stand on right now was a hotbed for the torture, sale, and the humanization of my people. Fun fact, Seriki Williams Abass died in 1919, in 1919. We're not talking about someone born in the 17th century. He witnessed the First World War. It's not all doom and gloom. Many black Africans in positions of influence and power actively worked to end slavery in Badagry. The MOBEE family spearheaded the charge to end the Badagry slave trade for good. Here's more about the family.
Used on the name of our forefathers during the period of slavery. The chains and shackles you are seeing there are in Badagry in the year 1888 with the help of the man buried there called Sumbu MOBEE. The man died October 16, 1893. Through his own help, slavery was finally abolished here in Badagry. The father of the man buried there was a middleman between the whites and the blacks. And whenever the white people arrived Badagry, the father of the man buried there usually offered them kola nut. Kola nut in Yoruba is called obi. He will say, Oyinbo Oremi Emu Obije in Yoruba language, in our own language. Instead of him to say, my white friend, people are not and eat, but they couldn't pronounce that. It was later that the white people nicknamed him MOBEE. And up to date, the family adopted the name MOBEE as their family surname. MOBEE is now a chieftaincy title in Badagry. The man will be fixed on the neck of a single slave like this for good 18 hours. While the slaves are busy working on plantation farm, this will be around their neck. You can come closer, come and feel the weight of the chain.
Hey, calm down.
Want to try?
Is that me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It will padlock like this and like that. For slave not to eat any farm product while they are busy working on plantation farm, and for them not to communicate within themselves. This is called the light chain for the babies. They use this to tie the babies together.
Say it again.
This is called the light chain for the babies. They use this to tie the hand of two babies together and separate the babies from their parents. For the babies not to disturb their parents while their parents are busy working on plantation farm. This is a torture weapon for the stubborn slaves. Then we force their hand into this, break the bone up to the wrist for making use of the pattern. And this is called the ankle lock. They invent this on the ankle of two slaves like this. On the ankle of two slaves like this. And they will lock you together with padlock for slaves not to run away while they are busy working on plantation farm. Now imagine if there should be something like this around someone's ankle for good 18 hours. Definitely there will be a lot of wounds around the ankle. I used to tell my tourists, either we like it or not, we must appreciate the gift of freedom. A bottle of alcohol was 10 slaves. A bottle of gin, and Badagry was 10 slaves. And we have the shorter size of the cannon gun. This is called a cannon gun. This was used in exchange of 40 slaves. We have the longer size in exchange of 100 slaves. We also have items like umbrella, matches, mirror, ceramic bowl. We also use in exchange of slaves. Over there is the slave drinking water bowl. About 40 to 50 slaves are meant to drink water from this at the same time, while their two hands are being tied together at the back. Then we fill this with water. Survival of the fittest. Who among the slaves that refuse to drink water in that particular period, we have to wait the next day, because slaves are meant to eat food and drink water once a day after they made them work 18 hours on plantation farm. Air and the royal musical instrument, these are called.
This video is the first in our Badagry slavery series. It's an eye-opener, but things get crazier in the next episode. You can watch them now. On our second episode, we'll visit Nigeria's first story building, built down the road from Seriki Abass's torture dungeon. We'll also look at the role the church played in the Atlantic slave trade in Badagry. Episode 3 is a sober one as we visit the Badagry Slave History Museum. I cried while shooting this episode. On the fourth episode, I'll take you to the infamous Beautiful Island. The actual slave port is also known as the point of no return. That's where slaves were shipped off from. Episode 5 exposes behind the scenes content from our day in Badagry and serves as a compilation of all the spots visited. You can watch all the videos now. We, the descendants of Seriki Williams Abass, regret and are very sorry for the role and involvement of Seriki Ifaremi Williams Abass in the transatlantic slave trade in West Africa, either by force or by choice. We are very sorry. That has to be one of the worst apologies I've ever read. Awful. This video taught me that we have a long way to go as a people, and we are only as strong as our weakest links. People like Seriki Williams Abass are our weak links.